You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rudrance for Black and White Sports 2. Let's talk a little NFL. Number one, let me address one particular 49ers fan that came through after the Jimmy G / Brock Purdy situation that broke out yesterday. Of course, Jimmy G is out for the season, broken foot. Brock Purdy came in. Now, look, I think Brock Purdy's got some real potential, and I made that very clear in the video. I think Kyle Shanahan believes he's got some real potential. But I was called a fair-weather 49er fan after being a Niners fan for, let's see, I'm 47. I can honestly remember my first football game probably around 5, and it was a Niners game. It was the Joe Montana, Dwight Clark game. So 42 years. Now, I was called a fair-weather fan because I was not sticking with them to roll to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. Well, it's not that I'm not going to root for the 49ers. It's just no rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. Ever. Okay? So if I'm going to get up here and I'm going to be objective, of course I can't get up here and just keep my fan shades on and be like, oh my God, we still got a chance. No, I think the 49ers' chances of winning the Super Bowl probably went out the window. It is what it is. You know, that's what happens when your veteran quarterback gets hurt, and I'm of the belief that you need at least a second or third year quarterback to get to the Super Bowl and win it. You need that full season under a belt to go through the trials and tribulations of being a rookie. Now, could Brock Purdy, reasonably speaking, maybe end up being the 49ers franchise quarterback? Possibly. It could happen, maybe. But I don't know. So anyway, I took care of that. A little house cleaning here. Now, to the Jets. Now, the Jets did lose to the Vikings yesterday, and it was a really damn good game. And one thing became abundantly clear before and after the game. The Jets are completely in, and by the Jets, I'm talking about the players. They are completely in and love Mike White. Frankly, I like Mike White a lot. I do. I think he's got potential, but he's got some gunslinger in him. And he just gets out there and he just throws the ball around with reckless abandon, but he completes passes, and he has a good completion percentage, and he can move the ball, okay? There's also one thing that's abundantly clear. The Jets players are out on Zach Wilson. They're done with him, okay? Whether it's what I'm going to show you now, which is the Mike White T-shirts that Jet players wore into the game, okay? These Jet players have sent a blatant signal to the Jets, to management, to coaching. We're done with Zach Wilson. We don't want to go to war with that dude. We don't want to play with him. Whatever Zach Wilson did besides playing like shit, whatever he did in that locker room, these Jets players are absolutely done with the dude. Okay, and I do think, we talked about this with Jimmy Garoppolo, when Trey Lance got hurt and Jimmy G ran in the game, those 49ers players went nuts. I mean, they were jumping up and down, they were smiling, they were fired up, and something about, for all the flaws that Jimmy Garoppolo has, those 49ers players love him and want to play with him and for him. And I think that is part of being a damn good quarterback. I do. This is the New York Post. I want to show you this video because this was prior to the game. From the official Jets Twitter page. Jets players wearing Mike effing White T-shirts into the game. I mean, look, they got their shirts on. It's crazy. Look, he's showing off his shirt. He's wanting to make sure you can see this shirt. Mike White, 2 million views on that. Whatever it is that Zach Wilson has done, they are done with him. They are done with here. Now listen to the comments that Garrett Wilson made after the loss to Minnesota. By the way, real quickly, let's just look at the pass that should have been caught by Braxton Berrios in the end zone. Right there. I mean,
Berrios lost it as he tried to bring it to his chest.
You've got to catch this ball.
Tight window.
You've caught it. You've got to hang on to it.
Jordan Hicks
You've
trying to
got
make the
to
play
hang
out, but
on
it's
to
there
this
for the
ball.
taking for Berrios.
That's
and he
all there
can't
is to
quite
it.
secure it.
That's all there is to it. So, and look, so I saw some Jet fans talking about, why in the world was he in the game? Why was he getting thrown the ball? Look, you got to throw the ball, and you got to be confident enough to throw the ball to whatever receiver is open in the progression. Okay? Braxton Berrios was the receiver, and in that moment, he's got to make the catch. That's on Braxton Berrios. The throw could have been a little better. It could have, but he's got to catch that ball. He does. Garrett Wilson praises Mike White despite loss in Minnesota. This is just further evidence that these Jets players are done with Zach Wilson. I would love to know, what did he do in this locker room? Was he that big of an asshole? We know he didn't own the loss when asked the question about after the Patriots game. We know that. And we heard that rubbed some players the wrong way. But it's got to be more than that. He must have done something and shown something to this locker room over the last nearly 2 years that has them completely out. They can't go back to Zach Wilson. If they do, Robert Saleh will lose that team. He will lose that team. This is Florio right here over at PFT. They wore T-shirts with his face on them during their trip to Minnesota in search of their 8th win. Even though the Jets came up short, they were singing the praises of quarterback Mike White. Consider this quote from rookie receiver Garrett Wilson, who's going to be a good one, after a 27-22 loss via Rich Samini of ESPN.com. Quote, "He was out there, controlling the huddle, never letting the moment get too big. It was cool to see. Looking back on it now, it's cool to think about. I know I'd go to war for that boy. He's got something special about him." And all I can say about that is it just me, or is Mike White got some Tony Romo going on, okay? Who was a damn good quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. If those Cowboys teams would have had a better defensive situation, and if Jerry Jones would have built that team a little bit better and Tony Romo wasn't out there getting killed, I think you could absolutely have won a Super Bowl with Tony Romo, okay? I do. And Mike White's got a little of that. I came out of nowhere. I think you're about to see some with Brock Purdy. I do. I wish Brock Purdy was in his 2nd or 3rd year, because I might actually kind of be fired up right now to see what the kid could do for the Niners. But you get my point. Did we mention the Jets didn't win? Yeah. So they're out there praising Mike White in this way, and they lost the game. They lost the game, but look, I think I know where Garrett Wilson is coming from. Look, Mike White's numbers, they weren't great. They weren't. 31 completions on 57 attempts. I don't hate that. For 369 yards, he had no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did run in one for a TD. But Wilson and presumably other teammates don't care. They've embraced Mike White. They'll follow Mike White. Mike White has become more than the figure who snaps the ball in the hands the ball off or throws it or runs it himself. He's taken over as the leader of the team. The Jets remain very much alive in the AFC playoff picture. Things get no easier in 6 days. That's when the Jets go to Buffalo for a rematch of the game New York won 4 weeks ago. I can't wait to see that game. With Wilson at the helm, a loss would drop New York to 7-6 and make the final month pretty rocky. I don't think it matters how this season ends up, far as I'd love to see. I'm not a Jets fan, but I would love to see the Jets sort of make it. It's been so long. The Giants and the Jets have been down for so long. I would like to see them kind of sort of, make a run, at least get in the playoffs, make things interesting. Be able to see a guy like Mike White work in the playoffs. Man, I don't know what you do with Zach Wilson. I really don't. Second overall pick. It's clear the teammates, the actual players are done with Zach. They don't want to see him. They don't want to play with him. They don't want to play for him. And I will say this, Mike White has such this gunslinger kind of feel to him when you watch him on the field because he never looks like he's nervous. He doesn't, okay? And I think that's part of it. Garrett Wilson mentioned something about him being calm and cool in the huddle. Well, look, that's a way of saying Zach Wilson's not that in the huddle. Maybe he's always chaotic in the huddle and always looks like the moment is too big. And if that's the case, he's not going to work out. He's not going to work out, okay? It is what it is. The NFL is so odd in the fact that so many teams miss out on first-round quarterbacks and even second-round quarterbacks. But then you have these strange outliers that end up being stars at quarterback, whether it's Romo, who, let's be honest, was a damn good quarterback for a decade. Tom Brady, 6th-round pick, ends up being the GOAT, okay? You could even say to a lesser extent, I know we hammer his ass on this channel, Russell Wilson, but he's brought a lot of that on himself with all this, the cringy behavior over the last 2 years or so, and the attitude, and that's one reason I hammer him. But even Wilson, taken in the 3rd round, right? And it just shows you that finding quarterbacks, there's almost no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. I mean, at the end of the day, some could argue Jared Goff's been a bust, although he showed his ass a little bit this year with the Lions. Carson Wentz could be construed as a bust. Sam Bradford. I mean, the list goes on and on of bust quarterbacks that were first-round picks. Jameis, Marcus Mariota. And it's odd how guys like Romo or Brady or Mike White can just pop up out of nowhere. Maybe we're Mr. Irrelevant, maybe 49ers. So there was a slight tie back into the Niners in this, but you get the point. You get the point. I mean, this Jets team is just, it's a wrap. And who, if you've watched Zach Wilson, who the F trades for him right now? Think about that. Who wants to trade for him with there being obvious suspicions about attitude? He's a small little quarterback. He's small. I mean, he looks like a little slot wide receiver out there. And he's your quarterback. I don't know. I don't know what they do with him. My feeling is Zach Wilson, if his ego allows him to, will end up in the XFL or USFL. Probably XFL. Peace. I'm out. Till next time. Black and White Network supporters, make sure you go over and check out the Black and White Network merchandise store. 25% off USA First. 25% off USA First. Go now.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.